Episode 22. The Odd Couple and Robecca. Robecca, is that like M but for SatAm? I wish. We see a snowstorm that Dulcie's flying in, and I love that she's wearing a winter jacket, even if in a world full of dragons, they can't make a winter clothing suit that fits her. Antoine says there's too much snowing. I don't see why he'd have a problem with that word. After he wastes time with unfunniness, Sonic tells him to tell him where Dulcie is so he can wave the glow sticks around. Antoine keeps telling him to go left and right, which confuses Dulcie. I guess it is pretty realistic that Dulcie can't just immediately stop her momentum and land normally. She slides down the ice hill and destroys a house, which Sally and Bunny had to rush out of, sounding an alarm bell ahead of time. Is she gonna get in trouble for this? No, of course not. I mean, Antoine never gets in trouble, so why would anybody else? Consequences? What's that? I mean, it was an accident, so. Sonic asks if she's okay, and Tails asks where they're gonna sleep. You know there's other houses, right? After Antoine cleans some boots in front of a closet of his clothes, singing about it while mixing French and English for some reason, when you think he's just singing French, he gets angry at a little piece of garbage and throws it away. Really? He definitely has some repressed anger he's misdirecting. I don't normally picture Antoine as being a neat freak, but it is always good to have an extra personality trait for a character. He gets unhappy at Sonic knocking at the door. I like that he has winter clothes too. Sonic teases him, asking him what's with his nose, and Antoine gets mad at him for tracking mud into his house. I like that we see more personality to Antoine, as he's a neat freak, and Sonic contrasts him because he doesn't care, he's a slob. So he's got more personality too. Why is he panicking about the mud though? He's a real nervous wreck. And I guess he doesn't trust Sonic to be reliable enough to actually agree to just clean up the mud at super speed. Sonic's a dick like that. Antoine's naturally unhappy because Sonic has to room with him, since they can't start building another house until the storm is over. Antoine's really acting over-dramatic about rooming with Sonic. Sonic should be way more angry about having to live with Antoine. And why does he have to live with him? Why isn't he living with Sally? Or Tails? Sonic saying that he could be here for weeks makes Antoine faint, and Sonic asks if it was something he said, looking concerned, as if he wasn't amusingly teasing him. This is the reason this episode falls apart. It would have been great, but it tries to pretend that Sonic is doing all this by accident. That's not cathartic. He's on the sofa asking Antoine to relax, and Antoine throws Sonic's sneakers out of the house and tries to lock him out of the house. I think he might be justified in this because it's not like this is the only house out there, right? I think Sonic only roomed with him in particular so he could have an excuse to bully him like a jerk. When Antoine's clearly trying to sleep with an ice pack on his head, having a headache, Sonic wakes him up trying to cook him chili dogs for dinner, and somehow Sonic is the clumsy screw up and not Antoine because he makes the chili go all over the place. When you think he would have a lot of experience with making chili dogs, so this has to be intentional. Antoine starts sobbing. And I assumed there would be a sweet and sad moment where Antoine starts crying and Sonic comforts him and apologizes. But no, he just tells him to relax. This is so out of character. I mean, I can understand Sonic bullying the idiot, but being sociopathic to him? He gives Antoine a chili dog after he made a huge mess. He's really torturing Antoine here. He even punches stuff in his closet because he's got so much anger in him and is too scared to attack Sonic and suffer the consequences. And thus we don't get Sonic to suffer any consequences for what he did, which is much worse writing, honestly. I like that he has pajamas. Sonic messes with Antoine by running around in his room saying that Robotnik's going down. Antoine says that if you can't beat them, join them, acting insane in a desperate attempt to be funny in the meta sense, and to try to enjoy himself in universe. He throws a bunch of things in the air, laughing maniacally. I really have a hard time believing that this would be the result of Sonic just spending one night with Antoine. I mean, he wasn't that obnoxious. Who cares? Sonic leaves his house and insists that Antoine, not him, lives like a pig. And again, this doesn't work because it's trying to have us believe that he thinks this for real. Then a tree falls on Antoine's house, killing him. No, of course not. As he continues to depress me by laughing maniacally like he should be in an insane asylum from now on. It's weird. I expected Sonic to bully Antoine way more in the show than he does since I read the comic before this. Instead, I haven't even seen him sit on a whoopee cushion, and Sonic's trying to be subtle instead of being honest that he's being a bully to him on purpose. Like that has to be the reason that this episode happened, because there's no logical reason he would bunk with Antoine of all people and not Tails. Antoine complains to Rotor that his feet hurt and he's tired of helping him. I assume that he's here because his house is damaged. Then he trips and some nuts and bolts fall into the open chest of a female robot. Well, I guess he's very lonely? It'd make actual sense if he was building the robot to build a body for Nicole. Though I guess they'd see her portable form as good enough since they can carry her around that way and they only care about their convenience since they're using her as just a machine. But they're not as callous to Nicole as the heroes of the Kinto Board in Late Way. Antoine lies that his foot is hurt, or maybe it is. Either way, he wants to get out of helping Rotor because he doesn't like being productive, apparently. Rotor leaves, and he backs away into a machine, which turns it on and shoots electricity into the robot. Why does Antoine say it's alive when it's a robot and he doesn't want it to be alive? That's a forced Frankenstein reference. Is that going to age well? Are we always going to know about Frankenstein? Antoine tells her not to come closer, pretending to be a martial artist. She thinks he's adorable and wants to give him a kiss. Right away, the whole plot falls apart. Why would Rotor ever make a robot act like this? I guess he wanted to mess with Robotnik, but Robotnik would just destroy her immediately with his laser shooting SWAT bots to turn her against the heroes. Why would she be programmed to go fall for Antoine and stalk him? I can imagine that'd be pretty complicated to program, so it couldn't be a glitch. I wish it was confirmed that she was purposely programmed to be like this to give Antoine what he deserves. If it was all confirmed to be on purpose, then these torture episodes would have been more cathartic. And if the torture happened right after he was a complete jerk and screwed things up. After a door falls on him, he's spotted by the robot and runs from her. I don't understand why he's running away from her. Sure, he's a coward, but she's giving no indication that she's gonna hurt him. You'd think that he'd at least try to talk to her and tell her to stop, or be desperate enough for affection to let her kiss him. I don't know. His behavior makes sense, I guess. He sneezes again after falling in a muddy lake, and for some reason he says this is the worst night of his life. I am running under the assumption that this episode directly picks up where the previous one left off. So I guess this episode is taking place the same night as the previous one. That's the only way that sentence would make sense. Robecca picks up Antoine, he sneezes again, and is scared for some reason. He really hates robots. Fortunately, the episode doesn't end there. She feeds him terrible gruel and totally ignores his complaining. She then gives him a bad massage. I guess the writer hates Antoine just as much as I do. Rotor turns her off, and Antoine for some reason keeps panicking after she stops moving. Rotor reprograms Robecca, and for some reason she is convinced that Rotor is her assistant and repeats herself over and over again. I guess Rotor really has no respect for Tails since he won't even consider making him his assistant, giving him something to do. And Rotor was too stupid to think to reprogram Robecca to stop bothering Antoine. Maybe it is on purpose. Although considering the way he was tortured in the previous episode, I don't know if he really deserves this. Antoine starts to get flattered and arrogant and says that she can't help but fall for him, admiring himself in the mirror. I wish he showed personality by getting tired of his personality, like would be realistic. That would have been a natural way to resolve this plot point. Have her actually spend time with him and get sick of him. But no, she's a robot, so I guess she's not smart enough for that, apparently. Antoine tries to talk with a terrible German accent to get her to run away from him and break through the wall. She calls him a slimy toad. I really wish she reacted like this to his actual personality and not from him having an admittedly clever plan that doesn't give him comeuppance for his personality properly. The robot then tries to kiss Sonic instead. This whole plot never should have even happened because there's no reason Rotor would program the robot to find Antoine and Sonic like attractive and start acting the way she did. It would have been interesting if he had been established to have done that on purpose as a prank for Antoine, give him some life to his character finally. But instead I'm supposed to believe it's a glitch. That's some glitch! I guess that's my plot summary right there. The whole entire episode was just about torturing Antoine, and what's unsatisfying about it is that none of the people who did it made it clear that they were doing it on purpose.